Good job, Commander. Not only did you accomplish your mission, you also exposed Kane's plan. Come here, have a look. He's building a liquid Tiberium bomb. See the core spreaders here? These keep the liquid tea from corrupting the casing. It makes no sense. This was Kane's plan to win the war. Why didn't he share it with me? Well, that's not your concern, Commander. I will deal with it when the time is right. We have more pressing concerns in Australia. That's where I'm headed now. I could certainly use you there, but Kane has insisted that you stay here in Sarajevo. He should be arriving back at Temple Prime momentarily. I hope that I can trust you to keep my concerns between us. All right, then. Good luck, Commander. I think we're both going to need it.
Just when we thought we were done. I don't know how the hell they knew, Commander. But GDI just shot down the transport carrying Kane's device, and he wants it recovered pronto. The whole area is crawling with GDI, so you're gonna have to sneak through to the crash site. I'll contact you once you're there. Good luck, Commander. This was gonna be dicey.
Construction is very close to being complete, with the exception of the missing components from Brazil. The detonator and the triggers are in place for a staged radiation implosion in the crystal lattices and the liquid Tiberium reservoirs. However, the blast yield still may not be big enough.
And you will find another detonator. I will not lie to you, my son. GDI has gained the advantage. But as I have told Killian, victory for us will not come on the battlefield. GDI is reacting exactly as I expected, converging all their forces in Sarajevo. Your first job is to retrieve the vital weapons components lost in transit from Brazil. Then you must buy us enough time to complete construction of the weapon. This will allow us to enact phase 2 of my plan. If all goes well, there may soon be a place opening up in my inner circle.
Incoming transmission. A plane carrying the liquid Tiberium weapon has been shot down by GDI forces en route to Temple Prime. Investigate and secure the crash site.
Welcome back, Commander.
Those fuel drums. Well,
New bonus objective.
I've been waiting
Unit
for
under
this.
attack.
So, we have a
I approve.
no-build section, an escort
Unit
section,
promoted.
a base defense slash
I'm waiting.
time defense section,
Take your time.
and then an attack.
I'm ready. I understand.
If anything, this mission has a lot to it, which is nice. Although,
Plan.
we'll probably see why there's some issues in execution.
Of course I'm ready. Incoming.
But first, we should probably talk a little bit about the story portions. Namely, the fact that Killian seems to have this weird... Well, we've been seeing how she may not be exactly trustworthy.
Yes.
For all the faults that GDI has with constantly believing that Kane is dead only for him to show up in the next, 5 to 10 years, or 5-10 minutes, depending on which videos we watch, it seems strange to me that Kane always has some betrayer in his midst.
I approve. I like that one. Moving.
At least we can always depend on
Just my
AJ.
type.
Unit under
I
attack.
like that one. Whenever you're ready. I understand.
Come to think of it, I'm also not sure if there's ever a credit given to
I understand.
the advisor or scientist for Nod
Something you need.
that accompanies Kane in that cutscene.
I'm waiting. What's the
I
plan?
don't want to attribute a name from the book just yet, which
Yes,
I
I'm here.
posted about not too long ago,
Always ready.
just because I'm not sure if it's actually the same person.
Okay. Just my type. I'm waiting.
I have to admit, though, I'm also a little insulted that I'm still not in Kane's inner circle. I've only been constantly defeating GDI forces. It seems that if I'm so successful, I should probably be rewarded just a teeny tiny bit.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Now, you can technically go after the AA guns first. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just that it kind of just opens you up to losing units.
Shadows in waiting.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Stay balanced. The way is clear. They are weak. Infidels.
There's a lot of
With the weak.
waypoints that GDI uses. They're all the same. They don't really make any big difference. But the problem is that when you have APCs that are driving around that are suspiciously resistant to damage while also dealing a lot in return, the meager rocket troops that you have aren't necessarily enough. They can kill one, maybe two, sure, but they seem to respawn, and you're not really going to be able to outrun GDI rifleman squads, and those will periodically set out to attack you as well. All in all, it's really just not worth it. Clear the area with the commando, and then get your reinforcements.
Establishing video uplink.
Nice work, Commander. The recon shows a large GDI force coming your way. Luckily, we've got a base to the north, so your best bet is to hold up there and hang on till we send reinforcements. Sending coordinates now.
In a way, this mission is similar to Croatia.
Forces from the abandoned Nod base and escort the device into it.
However, it's a little tighter on some of its on some of the later features we have for it.
Don't let them in close. This way. Do it now.
The also added benefit to getting your reinforcements after the fact is that, well, you're able to have units for here. More of them, anyways, and you're also going to need them for reclaiming your base, as well as the subsequent defense.
Of course I'm ready.
Now, personally, I think you should always run in with your fanatics after having covered them with the commando. The reason for this is that there is a battle rig that shows up, and having the battle rig be blown up by fanatics is probably the most efficient use of them.
We are the chosen. This way.
You also don't really want to dawdle here, just because these buildings that you have can be destroyed. They're not invincible. So the longer you take to reclaim your base just means the more damage that the buildings sustain and potentially lose.
They will fear us. There is work to be done.
As you can probably imagine by now, looking at the map that's exposed, even with the fog of war, we only have one mineral patch to work with. So we're going to be tight on money. Again.
You must protect that device, Commander. I'm sending you the most powerful weapons we have. The avatars. Use them to blast your way out. Do not keep me waiting.
Unit under attack. Incoming transmission.
I approve.
We must protect the device until the Avatar Warmax arrive.
Once the liquid Tiberium vehicle is in your base, you lose control of it, so you can no longer move it around and do things.
New construction options.
However, you're not really in danger with it specifically. GDI will send attacks from 3 different locations, although one may appear as if it's from the rear. It's actually from the west. They just go around your wall a little bit. It's nothing too crazy, but it is something to note.
One mission, one purpose. We have orders.
As you can probably expect by now, and this is probably going to be true of every single mission I play, since Croatia and even since like 2 missions before that, but I had to replay some missions, etc. And
Complete.
in my experience, it seemed like the best sort of investment I could make was in a little bit of infantry and a lot of bit of obelisks of light.
That is work. Our base is under attack.
Series veterans will recognize how strong the building is. It's all right against infantry, The problem is that infantry, because they are groups now and not individual units, suffer a lot from having to sort of spread their damage. Essentially, an Obelisk of Light now sort of targets one unit and then drags its laser across an area. It's just not particularly effective, and while it's good, while the Obelisk of Light is just a tremendous defensive structure to begin with, it's probably worthwhile supplementing it with a couple of Shredder turrets, at the very least, if you're finding yourself against a lot of infantry. Now, because of the fact that there's a lot of waiting and a lot of base defense, I just felt like it was better off just speeding through a lot of stuff. Uncompressed, with retries, this mission was probably about an hour long. At the very least, it's a 40-50 minute affair.
Help! The harvest is in danger!
It's made a little bit more painful with the fact that since you run out of money rather quickly, in fact, by the time you get your avatars, I was bone dry and I don't really have much else as a recourse.
I understand.
But having the avatars in my infantry, I can clear a base or two, but that doesn't really get me a Tiberium field. To do that, I'm really going to have to push through the center flank or portion. And the problem with that, as you might expect, is that if I don't clear out the sides, attack the middle, and don't clear my way to a new Tiberium field, I'm only making my life worse for me by leaving my my flanks open for attack.
Clean it up. Avatar. Full power.
I should point out that because of the fact that it has been a series staple for AI to get bonuses if you're playing on harder difficulty, you really need to be careful against zone troopers. Zone troopers are actually particularly effective against defensive structures like the Obelisk of Light, as seen here, where the flashes of power just constantly drag across the field, but don't really seem to do a lot of damage.
Yes. I understand.
This increased survivability and damage also presents a bit of a problem when we have to fight large waves like this. Thankfully, I just have a lot of troops. However, there is one problem with having a lot of troops to contend with, and we're going to see that fairly shortly.
Full power.
Something you need. It will be a pleasure.
Clear up. Everything go. Clear the junk. Everything's go. Operational.
It'll be more evident as missions progress. Not necessarily this one, but as other missions go, just in how cool the Avatar Walker is, and specifically kind of the difference between mammoth tanks and avatars. How the mammoth tank just kind of lost a lot of its luster over the series, or at least in particular with this game, and how the Avatar Walker kind of changes that. The problem, though, is that the Avatar also has a sort of weakness to it, at least in its design.
Destroy.
Now, it is cool to see them tower over other units and kind of shoot their arm cannon and so on. Sadly for me, the GDI forces have about like 3 or 4 juggernauts that are all at the top of the hill where the waypoint 4 is. And because of that, I can't actually like see them and kind of destroy them. And because GDI is still able to produce units because they have Harvester Field, or Tiberium Field, I should say. Because of that fact, it's just kind of annoying to have to walk up through everything to defeat a couple juggernauts. Now, the cool thing is that the Avatar Walker does have a lot longer range than I would have ever assumed it did. And that range is a pretty good positive when it comes to having to depower this base, so that now their defenses can't see my harvesters, and I can harvest in peace and have some sort of income. Also, sadly, you can't use demolition charges from the shadow teams. Shadow teams, for some reason, they just don't have as good a det pack as the commando, so can't use that. I'm also defeated by simple fences. Even though the fences are doodads, or how else would I put it? Kind of just tiny objects that are on the map. They don't really do anything. They're kind of just for fluff. Despite that being the case, they end up blocking my shadow team from destroying 2 power plants, which is a little annoying. It's not the end of the world. It's just kind of strange that that would actually be a thing. We can also see how one commando is kind of overpowered when it comes to dealing with juggernauts. The same probably will never be said about the Avatar Walker. Not necessarily anyways, especially when numbers become a thing.
It is our path.
Also, in a very annoying fact of life, pathfinding sucks in this game, and there are certain units or certain crates that are on the map that are impossible to achieve or collect. And as the thread is discussed, there are certain intel objects that are impossible to get. They're not necessarily one and the same, but both of them are particularly annoying, considering you can tag, you should be able to just tag objects in a mission builder and have that rectified rather quickly.
Unit recovered. Enemy units sighted.
Now, this is something I could have shown off a long time ago. However, these husks that are on the field do start off at half HP when they're reclaimed, and unfortunately can be targeted. So someone who's protecting their units, or protecting their technology, quote-unquote, can stop you from collecting it if you don't have an engineer nearby.
Objective complete. Mission accomplished.
Commander, I need your help. I've requested reinforcements in Australia. Kane refused. I've seen the damage reports on Temple Prime. It's a lost cause, we both know that. This base, these forces, this is the heart of our entire operation. They can still be saved if we act.
You can thank me for that one. Didn't I tell you Killian couldn't be trusted? Can't believe she's questioning King. He obviously had damn good reason for holding those forces back. Whatever. It's good to be back in Sarajevo. But we got serious work to do. First up, you gotta escort those weapon components you recovered back to Temple Prime. Then give Kane some time to build that sucker. And hey, do me a favor. When this all works out, tell Kane who drew up the plan. Maybe he'll let me out of this tent. I can flank you on your next mission. Wouldn't that be sweet?